the mayor going to be okay with you taking, the name of the town as your, venture
Actually,
group?
there's a funny story behind that. The paper which we don't compete with, they're much bigger than us. But yeah, the mayor's really behind it. She like wrote a letter of congratulations to the paper to be published and that kind of thing, and we meet on a regular basis. And also, the ex-mayor from last year is actually, you could say, our part-time taxi driver. She like drives us everywhere. And it's funny how that all came back, just like little things meeting people. But yeah, so the whole of the council, and also there was the council published a not-for-profit magazine called One Magazine to publish everything they're doing in the borough. And have I got a copy here? Because hold on, let me just grab our magazine 1 second. Because our magazine, their magazine, had basically it's a new cinema coming to Corby on the front there. And our magazine, their magazine, had basically the exact same image. Pretty rubbish lighting here. So yeah, they had the exact same image on the front cover. We had a meeting with the chief exec of the council, and he took our side. So that's something special, actually. He was saying because we done it first, and
Oh, that's
I mean
funny.
we weren't too bothered. It's not like we were going to sue them in court, but it's just I suppose it's good as a council acting. That I mean, what other council can two 14-year-olds get a meeting with the chief exec with 2 hours notice? And it's crazy how good our council is supporting us.
Yeah. Um, so, how about mentors? Like, have you met mentors along the way?
Um, I suppose the only person who's really stuck out as a mentor is our PR guy, who's helped last, say, issue and a half with. He hasn't actually physically done anything at all, so we can't like say that he's actually part of the team, but he just makes good suggestions. Let's just say. I mean, if we've done something wrong and we didn't realise, because he can take a step back and say, "Look, you should have done this, this, and this." And he's been in business for quite some time now. I mean, he had a radio station in 1999, and that was one of his later ventures, I think. So yeah, I mean, him as a person he's shown us the way quite a lot over the last couple of issues, and it's really paying off, I suppose.
Okay. Um, Question about, how your family and your friends reacted to, your success.
Um, I'm going to sound a bit too much like Savannah now. I mean, obviously the family were very supportive. Friends, it's kind of split. I mean, you get friends who don't really care. It's like, oh, it's a magazine, that's cool, well done. And then you get people who are like, oh, magazines are gay, and it's like they're not gay. And then yeah, so but I suppose us being on national TV and their parents calling us amazing kind of shut them up. But I suppose it's just people kind of, oh, why didn't I think of that? And they're getting better than me, so let's try and put them down. But it doesn't really work because we just yeah, I mean, I suppose we just look at what we've achieved and what they've achieved, and then kind of make our judgments from that.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's talk about your other magazine. Like, what is it that you're about to launch?
It's launching. We're thinking August 15th, so it can tie in halfway through the production of Corby magazine, so we can run the two side by side. It was going to be called Clinic magazine because it's going into doctors, dentists, that kind of place all over Northamptonshire, which is the county which Corby's in. But let's just say there's a another magazine called Clinic magazine, which we don't really want to be affiliated with. So yeah, we used the French word clinique magazine, which is yeah, it kind of turns away from it. So it's basically going to be a same concept, 36-page magazine, 16-page adverts, 18 editorial, with with like kind of lifestyle magazine, but it will be distributed same amount of copies too throughout the whole of Northamptonshire. That will first of all get the region where we're operating at, which will bring in more income from bigger, better companies, but then also just basically expanding the brand. And I mean, it takes time, but it takes nothing to make the actual physical magazine. It takes time doing other things. So if we can launch two or three together, we've already got a massive advertiser base where we can just dip into and say, look, we've got this coming up, will you support it? And we've got enough people to say yes, so basically we have the potential funding to back it. So basically what we thought is just, why not make twice the money for doing the same amount of work rather than distributing it, which is a bit more.
Okay.
So, I can only be quite vague right now because I'm still working on the details. But yeah, it's going to be a 1,000-copy lifestyle magazine going to all the health places in Northamptonshire. And yeah, it's going to be a bit better, I hope.
Okay. I have a question regarding how much ads you have versus how much editorial you have in the magazines.
Yeah, so we have a ratio of, I think it's 1 to 1 point, something ridiculous. So it is still a majority of content. The way we do it is, page 1's obviously the cover. We wouldn't sacrifice that. Then pages, this might sound ridiculous at first, pages 2 to 6 are all adverts. So we've got a big chunk of adverts there, but that's 2 reasons. So we can get double page spread adverts and get more revenue from that. But then also, so all the content is together within the middle. So basically between page 7, which is content, and just past the middle pages, that's all flat out content. So people really get stuck into the magazine and they start reading. And then they kind of subliminally take in the adverts whilst reading the content, because we've, over 4 or 5 issues, we've managed to find a way to blend it in so you don't actually notice too much the adverts. I mean, you notice them enough to go to the retailer or whatever, but you don't notice them enough to put the magazine down, so that's full of adverts.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's coming from 2 fronts. So the first one, so people don't bin it, and it doesn't look like what I keep coming back to, is little tiny A5 piece of rubbish, but then also so advertisers are getting results from it and making us more money, I guess.
I'm not really familiar with the magazine industry, so I don't know what the A5 is. Can you explain that?
Oh, right, well, that's A4, size A4. Imagine that in half, right? Not glossy, done on a home printer in like black and white, full of adverts, and shoved through your letterbox every week. Gets quite annoying.
Oh, okay. How did you decide to use that format, A5 or A4? Sorry.
A4. I suppose it was just an instinct decision. I mean, I'm not sure about in the US, I believe it is. It's just the standard paper size for them. I'm not sure what's wrong there with the US, but in the UK at least, I know. It's just the standard paper size. Printers printing it, like home printers. And when we started designing, we just subliminally designed it in A4, not thinking, is this going to cost more or anything like that. And then I suppose we reap the benefits in the fact that we stand out from the crowd. We're A4, we're bigger, we're shinier, and also it fits in more adverts and more content on
right.
double.
Okay.
So it's a few perks, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get down to like really specifics. It's gonna sound silly. How did you know what font size to use?
Jesus, that is specific. At first, we didn't. If you look at, I know you don't have a copy, but if somebody were to look at issue 1, it's kind of all over the place and a bit messed up. But by we'd sorted that by issue 2, issue 3, and issue 4. We made a editorial decision actually between issue 3, it was size 12, which is quite big, but like standard size. But then issue 4, we chose to move it down to 10, so it just looks a bit more professional. I think that's the size that all the newspapers use, and it's just trying to seem a bit more mainstream, so it's kind of what people are used to reading. I mean, if you've got, say, 4 newspapers in front of you, and 3 have nice fonts, like nice full-sized size 10 fonts, you'll be able to read them nicely. But then if you have one massive kind of, yes, it'll stand out on an advert, but it just doesn't look right when you're trying to read. So it's basically making it easier for the user to use. I mean, same as a website, you wouldn't have, say, size 60 font in the lines. It's just making it look better and easier to read, I suppose.
Okay.
But how did we, come back to your question, how did we know? Yeah, we didn't, basically. It's just learning again.
So, the one question that I get asked a lot that people want to ask entrepreneurs is how, like, when did you realize like that first issue? Like you guys were designing it and modifying it. At what point did you say, okay, it's good enough, let's launch it?
The first printers we went with, they're a family-run business. There's only two of them. They've been in the trade for a long time printing, so they kind of lent us a helping hand there. We had the first design, and I think they thought in their heads, "Wow, this is bad." I mean, how many suggestions they made, but with the support of those and a few other people, we kind of got it to a point where it was presentable and it was launchable, and people could look at it and read it and not have to put it down and say, "Oh my god, that looks bad." So yeah, it's just basically working with other people, because if you become too fixated within a piece of work, you'll think it looks good regardless. So basically, it's asking a hell of a lot of other people's opinions on, do you like this, do you like this, and just running ideas past people. Then eventually you'll get to something where at least a majority of people say yes. So then I guess that was when we were ready to launch a magazine, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. What are your future plans for the magazine and your other projects?
What are my future plans anyway? To this magazine, to get the readership up to, no, the print 25,000 copies, you may have seen on the BBC report. Now that is ambitious to say the least compared to all the other people. I mean, I think the maximum within the town is a 6,000 distribution for one company. So that's just going to blow everyone else out of the water, and just kind of, it will be a bit, it will be the only magazine by then, put it that way. Because everyone else will be out of business for a start because of their design and they have no editorial, but then also other companies just can't compare because they've been running for 5-10 years with 6,000. They have no business plan in place to change, whereas we've come new into this market and we've said, look, we don't, I mean, obviously we have a business plan, but we haven't set anything in stone, like, right, we're going to get to this amount of copies by now. I mean, we were on 1,000 copies. That was the plan for the middle of this year. We achieved that within the first month, so we're moving a lot faster than we thought we would be. So basically, it's just growing the magazine. 25,000 copies is the aim. Then looking at what the situation is then with both school, if we're still at school then, and also finance with all the other companies. Possibly selling that, possibly moving on, possibly keeping it, and all the other companies basically the same, just building them up. And I mean, websites is a bit different because once they're up, they need little to no maintenance. But I feel like a magazine, I mean, it's tedious, the details. If there's a spelling mistake in there and somebody's reading it, it's just quite it's embarrassing when you just paid, say, £2,000 to have a batch of magazine printed, and then you find a spelling mistake. So I suppose we'll get it to a point and then think it's had its day, and maybe sell it to a bigger publishing company and start another magazine, keep doing that. But I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean, just see how things go, basically, kind of riding the wave.
All right, sounds good. Any like last words of wisdom?
Visit our website. Has to be that. So it's corbymagazine.com, but just search Corby Magazine Google because we have good search engine optimization, unlike one of our competitors, but we won't go into that either. I mean, dirty tactics right here.
Okay. All right, sounds good. So, Sean, thanks for the interview. It's been a pleasure, and I want a copy.
I'll get one over to you.
All right, sounds good. I'll talk to you later.